friend. Welcome to the Fruitful Fertility podcast. Do you want to better understand your body so you can get pregnant naturally? Do you find yourself up late at night Googling how to ovulate on your own or natural fertility tips? Do you feel lost on what your next step should be? Hey, I'm Tori, a registered nurse, Christian fertility coach, and your new TTC BFF. When I started my fertility practice, I realized how much the modern medical system was missing when it came to supporting women trying to get pregnant. I knew God had called me to this space to bridge that gap and provide more natural fertility support and education. With time and a little trial and error, I found a foundational way to assess infertility cases and get better results. In this podcast, you will finally understand how your body and fertility work, support to stay off that emotional roller coaster, and a proven strategy to improve ovulation and increase your fertility naturally. If you're ready to get started, drop those ovulation sticks and grab a pen because, girl, you look fertile to me. Okay, friend, we are stepping into another very practical, tactical episode this week. It's going to go perfectly with last week's episode, which was how to create your plan to get pregnant in 2025. And I wanted to touch on this topic of budget because I know so often our budget is what holds us back from doing the things we want to do. We live in the real world where money's tight and we don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on anything we want, even if it's a great investment. And I really wanted to tackle 2025 in a different way than I did in 2024 and help myself feel empowered by my budget, not held back by it. So that's kind of where this episode stemmed from, is what I'm actually doing in my life. And I wanted to share it with you because I feel like it's going to really help you move forward so that you can not make guesses about what you can afford or assume you can't afford it or not know or have to ask permission or any of those things. But it just gives you a plan. And I love a plan. If you can't tell, I am a planner. I love a plan. I love a checklist. I love a roadmap to success. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So a little bit of a backstory. I was making my Q1 goals for my business in 2025, just like we talked about in last week's episode. I broke down the year into quarters, right? Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. And this is how I want you to approach your fertility. So if you haven't listened to that episode, please go back and listen to that. And I was thinking, okay, I really need to set a boundary and a budget for what I'm going to invest in my business in 2025 because I love courses and coaching and programs. I have done so many. I love them. I truly, truly love them. I love that way of learning. I love getting the information in bite-sized pieces. I love learning from people that have been somewhere I haven't been yet. It is just really empowering to me. But my problem can be that I spend all my money on courses and coaching and then don't make any money. So this year I knew I wanted to grow. I truly believe that the best way to grow is to invest in yourself and your programs of people that have been further than you've been. But I just needed to have a boundary. I needed to have a healthy boundary. And instead of finding a program that I wanted to be in and then sitting there going oh, can I afford it? Can I not afford it? Can I afford it? I was going to go ahead and have a budget ready right off the bat. So Craig Groeschel talks about pre-decisions, that we pre-decide how we're going to react to something before we do it. And he's usually talking about emotionally, like how we're going to act if someone asks us if we want to have a drink, how we're going to act if someone hits that nerve when someone says, when are you going to have children? How you're going to react, you pre-decide. But I think that this pre-decision could be great for budgeting as well. So basically what I did was I sat down, I went over my finances for 2024, what I spent, what I made, had my percentages of what I wanted to allocate, like 10% to tithing, 10% to savings, 40% towards my business, those kinds of things. And so I came up with what basically like a 10 to 20% range would be that I could use for marketing and investing, and came up with what that number was for the whole year. And then I divided it by 4. So that gave me how much I could spend each quarter. If your eyes are glazing over, I'm so sorry. I know this is a little bit boring, but it really is powerful. And so that gave me a number that I knew. So if I came across a program that I wanted to invest in or I thought would be good for my business, I could say, all right, I already know my number for the quarter, so I know if I can afford that or not. And I found so much freedom in that. I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't have to stress about it. It's black and white. I can afford it or I can't. And so I wanted to talk about that today with you and how you can do this for your fertility, because I know when you're trying to improve your fertility, you're trying to get pregnant, everything adds up. Everything is expensive. And so we're going to take this same framework and we're going to apply it to your fertility. So step number 1, we are going to shift our mindset from an expense to an investment. You are investing in yourself. You are investing in your health. You are investing in your future baby. So don't look at it as just like, this is not something frivolous. This is not something that you don't need to spend money on. It is something that you do need to invest in. And that mindset will help you as you allocate funds for it, because you're looking at it in a more positive way. Expense has a negative connotation. Investment has a positive connotation. So we want to have that positive connotation when it comes to what we're spending money on for our fertility. Step number 2 is to evaluate your spending habits. Again, I know this sounds really boring. It was boring when I was explaining what I was doing 5 seconds ago. But what I want you to do, and you don't have to get super deep into this, but maybe just the last month, well, December's probably not a good one because it was Christmas, but go back to like September and October. And I want you to just write down what you spent on bills, what you spent on eating out, groceries, like all the things that you have to spend money on, and then what you spent money on that you didn't have to, that maybe was just fun, like eating out or getting your nails done or those types of things. And then I want you to see how much money is left over at the end of the month from your income. This is a really great exercise to do with your husband to see where your money's going. Me and my husband do this fairly often, and we're always just like so blindsided by how much money we spend on eating out. Like, we eat at home a lot. We do not eat out, but like maybe twice a week, 3 times a week. And the money that adds up from just those couple of trips is just astonishing. But anyways, I want you to write down all your expenses, what you brought in, what income you brought, and what you spent your money on, how much you spent and what you spent your money on. And so then that will help you divvy up like, okay, we spend 70% of our income on must-haves, necessities. We spend 10% on eating out or whatever the case may be. And I want you to see how much wiggle room you have and how much you could allocate to health, to fertility. It might end up being 5% of your income. It might be 10%. It might be 20%. You might be surprised by what you have left over. So necessities, savings, tithing, all those things, and then what you have left over. And we're going to kind of just see what percentage of your income it is. And I'm not saying you have to spend everything that's left over on your health and your fertility, but it'll just give you an idea of what's left over. Okay, and that will bring us to step number 3, and that is going to actually create your budget. And I like to create my budget by quarters. So let's say you do this. You evaluate your spending habits. You find that every month you have about $100 to spend on your health, fertility, all that stuff. You got $100 a month, which means if you break it down into quarters, that every quarter you have $300 to spend. And you can figure out what percentage of your income that is if you want to. And so you know that every 3 months you have $300 to spend. That means you can evaluate, like, do I want to spend that on supplements? Do I want to spend it on doctor's appointments? Do I want to spend it on an Anito monitor? It just really helps you look at what your budget is. Like, okay, this month I have $100. Or in the whole quarter, I have $300. And when you figure out that number, it will actually really help you, because then the next time you see something you do want to invest in, you want to take part in, you know if it's in that range or not, or if you need to do something else to hit that mark. So again, this is a perfect example. It's December and the New Year's, and everybody had Christmas, and everybody is cleaning the stuff out of their house, right? So I have sold some stuff, like stuff that I wasn't using anymore, stuff out of storage. So like probably over December, I made a couple $100 just selling clothes. I had a mandolin, I had a rug, like just some bigger ticket items, you know? So then I made, let's just call it $200 extra for the month of December. So let's say I know that my budget is $300 for the first quarter, the first 3 months, and something I wanted was $400. Well, now I know I got to make $100 to make it fit in my budget. And that feels pretty doable. I can sell $100 worth of stuff on Facebook Marketplace, or pick up an extra shift, or take a babysitting job or something. You can get creative, but that's just if you really need it and you really want it. You know where you have to stretch your budget. Or maybe you say, okay, well, I need $100 extra, so we're going to skip eating out after church the next 2 weeks because that's $100 right there. You can kind of mix and match to make it work, which might sound like it would be annoying or a hardship, but truly, if you look at it as like, this is freedom, this is my budget, this is my boundary, and I can my boundary is flexible the way I want to make it flexible, but it really will keep you from just looking at something and being like, oh, I can't afford that, when you actually don't know if you can afford it or not. So again, you'll make that budget for the year, and then you'll cut it up into quarters, which is 3 months. So let's say you find out that your budget is $5,000. You'll divide it by 4. Oh, that's not good math. I don't want to do that. Let's say your budget is $4,000. I am really, really bad at math. Your budget for the year is $4,000. You break it up by quarter, so you have $1,000 every 3 months to spend. And you have that on paper. And then you and your husband are always on the same page too, because if you do this activity together, then you don't have to say, hey, I found this program I want to do. It's $750. Are you okay if we do that? And then y'all go back and forth and you're not on the same page. You've already gone over your budget. You already know it's in your budget. You can both move forward knowing that it's a good decision. It's within your limits, within your reach, and you move forward. It just makes everything so much more simple. The last tip, number 4, is to use your HSA card. So not everybody has this, but if you do have an HSA card with your insurance, use it. Use it. A lot of supplement companies, you can use your HSA card. I know I accept HSA cards. Chiropractors do. Acupuncturists usually do. So when it feels like you can't directly pull that money out of your account, or maybe it's out of your budget because now you know what your budget is, you can use your HSA card. And a lot of times, if you want to work with someone, you can also ask them for what is called a super bill. So let's say we work together. You want to do HTMA. We do HTMA together. I can't accept insurance. You don't have an HSA card. You can ask me for a super bill, which is basically just where I print out a bill, an invoice, and maybe even a little letter on top of it saying like, hey, I worked with Sally. Here's what we did. Here's why it's beneficial. Here's how much it cost. And you can submit it to your insurance company, and sometimes they will reimburse you. Not always, but sometimes. And to print a piece of paper and mail it in and maybe get your money back, totally worth it. If you don't, no sweat. You've got your budget, you're in range, and all you had to do was send a piece of paper in the mail, but you could get reimbursed as well. So make sure that you are using those things that are in place for you with your insurance company, your HSA card, reimbursement. Some have spending allowances for gyms and those kinds of things. So while this is, again, another really boring tip, I encourage you to look through your insurance information and just see if there's a loophole somewhere that you can use, or not even necessarily a loophole, but like a benefit. Like you could, let's say you want to go see a chiropractor, and I have no idea how much chiropractor is a month, $40 a visit, which would be about the same as a gym membership. Now, you don't have a gym membership and you're not going to use it. You could, again, send this paperwork into your insurance company and say, hey, I'm not using a gym membership, but I am going to see a chiropractor at the same rate. Could you reimburse me for this? Could this count as my gym membership? Something like that. You never know. They might say yes. So use all the resources you have available with your insurance company. Okay, let's recap these really quickly. The first thing we're going to do is shift our mindset from an expense to an investment, because it is an investment. We're going to evaluate our spending habits. It will probably take you no longer than 30 minutes. Look at your bank statement, write down what you spent, what came in, what went out. Just look. There's not a right or wrong answer. You're just looking for what your spending habits look like. Then you're going to take what money is left over and figure out how much you can allocate to fertility and create a budget based around that. For the year, a number for the year. You have $300 left over at the end of the month, and you want to allocate $150 of that to fertility. You would do 150 times 12. 150 times 12 is $1,800. Yes, I did just do that on my calculator because cannot do that in my head. And then once you come up with your budget for the year, you're going to break it down into quarters. So if we're taking that same example, we have $1,800 for the year. We're going to divide it by 4. We have $450 to spend per quarter. And if you want to break that down even more, that's $150 per month. Okay, so that's what you're going to do. You're going to create your budget, break it up into quarters every 3 months. Last step is we're going to use our HSA card or any insurance benefits that we have at our disposal to make things more affordable, because then it doesn't come directly out of your pocket. Okay, and that is how we are going to make affording fertility more simple in 2025. And a quick encouragement, if you do this exercise, which I hope you do, and you find that your budget is not quite what you want it to be, maybe you don't feel like it's enough or it's not enough for the next step that you want to take, I want to remind you of the story of Jesus and the 2 fish and the 5 loaves. That even when it doesn't seem enough, if you will bring it to God, lay it at his feet and ask for his guidance and trust his plan, that he will multiply it. That he will make it work within your budget. He will either provide the funds for your next step, whatever it may be. But this is part of being a good steward. This is a part of taking what God has blessed you with and trusting the process. So don't feel disheartened if that number is not quite what you thought it would be, what you expected it to be. It's not as big as others. This is yours. This is what God gave you, and he will provide the rest. I believe this year is the year that you have a solid plan, you trust God's timing, and you move forward and you get pregnant. This is the year. I believe that for you. And last but not least, I do want to offer you a totally free resource. I have a free Improve Your Fertility Masterclass. I also sometimes call it the Unexplained Infertility Masterclass. This is about a 30-minute video just talking about what is affecting your fertility. These are things your doctor didn't tell you, the things you've been trying to Google and can't find the answers to, and a 4-step framework for improving your fertility naturally. That's totally free, and hint, hint, wink, wink, there's a really, really steep discount at the end of it. It's for a limited time, but you will not see a discount that high any other time of the year. So this is a gift for you to help it fit in your budget, to help you move forward, because I want you to have this plan in your hands. So grab that. It's the first link in the show notes. And otherwise, I love you, friend, and I will see you next week. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If this episode touched your heart or taught you something, I'd be honored if you share it with a friend who could use the information too. And if you want to be the real MVP, then would you also take 30 seconds to tap those 5 stars at the bottom and leave a written review telling me what you're loving? It lights me up to know this podcast is really helping you. Don't forget, you're super cute and super fertile, so meet me back here next week and let's keep chatting and learning together.